Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm never done this before, so this could be really interesting. So I hope everybody has a lot of questions and aren't afraid to ask me things because I may not know what you're thinking. I did look at the poll to see that there were several transition coordinators, and I started out after I was a classroom teacher. I started out as a transition coordinator in my stepping up to administration. So I'm glad to see that we have transition coordinators in the house. So, all right. Let's see if my screen is going to do what it's supposed to do. And it did. Awesome. So throughout my presentation, you are going to see pictures of our students, either past students or current students, because we're so proud of the work that we're doing. We actually have a program at a small Midwest liberal arts Christian college in Indiana called Indiana Wesleyan University. And we are blessed to have IWU, that's what we call them, as partners, as community partners, that allow us to have this program in the collegiate setting for our 18 to 22-year-old students. So today, I'm going to try to walk you through really almost it's a walk down memory lane of my career because the things that we're doing today are things that I was dreaming about, as a 22-year-old classroom teacher. So today we're going to talk about being creative with post-secondary outcomes through funding, grant writing, and through the curriculum. And, I'm going to give a plug to Educational Associates because we haven't always had this curriculum. There are probably many people on here like me, I'll say old timers or seasoned veterans, how about that, that made their own of everything. You took your own pictures, you had them developed, you put them in you had a task box, you did everything from scratch. And now we have Canva and we have teacher paid teacher and all the things. So it's exciting to see where that's evolved. But um, I'm going to walk you through how we have created this program, and hopefully there's a chance for you to do something like this in the future. So it's not like I like to see myself, but this slide is me, and it's what I do a lot of. I do a lot of talking. So I want you to think about your own program right now, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you at sharing your vision? Now, maybe that is a vision at school or in your job, but maybe it's something else that you're passionate about. But whatever we want to see excel and we want to see thrive and grow, we have to be passionate about it, and we have to it starts with a vision. What is that vision? How do you see yourself making that happen? Asking those what if and how can I and who can I get to jump on board with me? Those are all things that stay here, but then they have to come out and you have to talk with people. You have to meet with a variety of different people. And so I first will say to you that sharing your vision is the first step to having innovative programming. Don't be afraid to dream. This is a slide that I wish I had a different data point for, and I'm sure you all know exactly what I'm talking about when we read this slide together. This is my goal. This is the poster in my head that only 17% of people with intellectual disabilities, when they graduate and ready to leave school, are employed and have meaningful employment and paid employment. Um, I have been doing this, you'll see in a future slide, for 36 years. It's hard for me to believe that it's been that long, but for 36 years, that data point hasn't changed much. When I was prepping for this webinar and talking to Sam and Felisa, I said to them, I started 36 years ago, and probably 34 years ago, every student on my caseload had a job in the community in 1990 something. So we've been doing this a long time, but what's not happening is after students leave, what happens next? How are we getting them the appropriate skills and the appropriate opportunities that are equitable in our communities, whether we're in Kansas or warm Tampa, Florida, or Boston, I saw, wherever we're at, where can we go to? Who can we talk to make this data point go up? That is my number one goal in everything I talk about today. We're going to talk about really exciting things that happen on a college campus and the activities and the opportunities that our students get to do. But the entire reason I have created this program that we work with today is to make that data point go up and that students have meaningful employment, that they are doing what they want to do, not just, well, I heard there was a job, washing dishes in the back room at wherever. They're doing what they want to do. And if washing dishes is what they want to do, then that's great. But let's get them those opportunities. So I say to my staff a lot, so what are you asking me for? What is it that you need to be successful? And they are really quick now to tell me. And a lot of times it involves an Amazon shared list of some kind. But truly, when you're looking at making a change and being very innovative and forward thinking and providing these opportunities, what is it that you need? And don't be afraid to ask for it. The worst thing that somebody can say to you is, I'm sorry, that's not my vision, or we just don't have the funding, or you just don't meet our criteria. And I have been told that multiple times, and you just can't get upset about it. I am going to tell you, I am in a high school. And so if you heard that bell, it probably is a familiar sound to some of you. I'm hoping there won't be any announcements, but if there are, I may just smile and look pretty for a minute and put myself on mute so you don't have to listen to it. But I'll keep going. So those things that you need, one of the things I didn't have was a really good curriculum. And I went to my state conference about 5 years ago, I think, to iCase. And oops, here we go. They're going to make an announcement. Ooh, okay. So the curriculum was what we were looking for. We were having a really difficult time making that be something that was meaningful and that was going to be teaching things that we were trying to teach our students. So I ran into Greg, who I heard just retired from Education Associates, but I went to his booth and he started talking about all of this um, creative curriculum and hands-on opportunities. Felisa talked about the light bulb, the electricity project. Our students have done that, and the joy that they see when they followed all of the steps and screwed the light bulb in and it comes on. I mean, those are meaningful things. I just talked to our teacher this morning and she was talking about last week's lesson was looking at the thermostat when it's too hot or too cold and knowing when to turn it down, how to turn it down. And then she had them under the sink and they were fixing the pipes. Like, what if there's a leak? What do you do? Those are all very common things that either you know how to do, your spouse or your significant other, or somebody in the house knows how to do. But if we don't teach our students those things, they can't know how to do that. So curriculum is very important. Maybe you live in a rural area and transportation is difficult. How do we get kids, how do we get young adults to where we need to take them? If there isn't free transportation, we're not in a large city. And then just the resources or tools that you need. Education Associates does a really good job of providing all of those things. When she talked earlier about the kits that they use, um, it they do an excellent job. When you open up one of those kits, everything you need is in it. not only the curriculum and the lesson plan and the scope and sequence, but the actual tools and items that you need to be able to teach those things. So finding education associates 5 years ago was truly a blessing, for not only this program, but also another program that I use for students that are on graduation track, but really don't know what kind of future they would like to get into. So they're trying lots of different vocational kinds of things. Um, the other thing that I would say is don't be afraid to talk to a lot of audiences. Maybe it's at church, maybe it's at an organization or a club that you belong to, maybe it's with your circle of friends, other teachers at school or other administrators. Those those kinds of conversations lead into other ways that somebody might be able to um, lead you to a different resource that might be something that will help you. So again, don't be afraid to dream it and to have that vision and to talk about it. I say everyone loves a feel good story, and I don't mean that in a very cliche way, like, oh, all of our kids are just, it's all perfect and unicorns and rainbows. I don't mean that. But when you talk about successful post-secondary opportunities for students and young adults that are learning to be independent and grow on their own in their own communities, it's hard not to feel good. It's hard not to get, the hair on the back of your arm raised and goosebumps because we all know somebody, whether it's somebody in our family, a neighbor, a classmate, that hasn't been successful, and we want that for them. So tell the story, and then don't be afraid to tell them what skin you have in the game, but what are you already doing? We're not asking somebody to 100% take care of all of this for us. We already have personnel in place and funding that is paying for things, but we just don't have enough for this. Say that. We have started the process, but we need more so that we can advance our program further along. Okay, so telling your story, I kind of said that already, but I do want to say if you're a person that this is like, oh, I cannot do that. I start to stutter in front of people like I am right now. I can't. I'll get too nervous. I won't know what to say. I kind of did a bullet point of easy to more difficult, I guess. So start with your colleagues that you know, that love you, that care about you, that see that you have a passion for something, and just start telling your story. Try to tick it down to like a 5-minute blurb. What are all those important key parts that you need to share so that people are catching that vision with you? Make a list of businesses. Go online. Everybody goes on Google this. Google Community Foundation. Google businesses in your community. Maybe you already know some people then that work in some of those places, and that would give you enough freedom to say, "Oh yeah, I can call Tom or I can call Janelle. She'll talk to me about this." That start there. And then the very last thing, and I don't do this very often, so me talking to you about grant writing is going to be from a local aspect or a local perspective, not so much as, and I did a little screenshot there of one of these national nonprofit search engines. That's just not me. I know what my sweet spot is, and that's not it, but maybe it is yours. Maybe you are really good at filtering through and finding the perfect nonprofit that, has an amazing opportunity that you could apply for financially. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just not the person to show you how to do that. But there are definitely lots of opportunities. Uh, to use those as a resource. I did go to a grant writing seminar 2 or 3 different times, but and I call myself a grant writer, but grant writing is just one part of what I do. So, don't be afraid to reach out to all of those different places and explore and see where your sweet spot is. Let me tell you just a little bit about where I've come from. So, in 36 years, I started out as a 22-year-old teacher of students with intense intellectual disabilities. I started with 10 kids, and I always knew I wanted to teach high school. I was not your elementary cute bulletin board girl. That was not me. I have family members that have disabilities and actually have a brother who uh, oftentimes struggled and didn't have the opportunity to have a job. In fact, they called my dad when my brother was 17 and said, Earl, it's time for Scott to be done with school. And my dad knew that day was coming. This was way before Public Law 94-142 or IDEA. And it was the superintendent. And he said, You know, he's not learning anymore." And so they helped my dad and mom find a job for my brother. So that was motivation for me. That was one of my motivators, at least, that I was going to help other families navigate how to educate and train and make sure that students were leaving schools with skills so that they could be as independent as possible. So 36 years ago, those 10 students, I was working on all the things that Felisa was talking about earlier. We were doing recreation and leisure in the community. We were doing independent living. You know, how do you dress for success? How do you write a resume if you don't have good handwriting? And that was before computers, mostly. So how do you let somebody know that you have the ability or I use the hashtag skills to pay the bills. Do you have what it takes for somebody to want to hire you? So our students all went out in the community, and some had paid jobs and some had volunteer jobs, and found out that they liked certain things and they didn't like other things. And I had a job coach, and we did individualized learning. And all of my kids had paid employment after about year 5. And now these are just 17, 18, 19-year-olds. And that was before there was anything after that, although the law said, "Oh, you still need to educate them through their 22nd birthday." So I was asking myself at that point, What's next? What else can we do that is going to prepare them?" And so that's where the dream started, at least for me. Um, and from that, fast forward about 25 years, because for 11 years now, we have had, and I've got it on the side here, the Making an Impact program. And that is when we started 11 years ago with a dream that students with and without disabilities can learn together on a college campus. And how can we make that happen? And again, remember, I live in central Indiana in a very rural, cornfields all around, no public transportation except in one of the 5 communities in my surrounding area. And that was truly just oh, it went from, like, Walmart to the VA. I mean, it wasn't like mass transit or anything. It was just, 1 or 2 buses. So how can we do this? How can we get somebody to allow us to not only dream, but implement? And so this is really our story. Sorry. So it started with, if I know I can't see your hands, I can't even see you, but if anybody is familiar with Think College, and in a minute, I'm going to show a slide about Think College if you're not familiar with that. But 11 years ago, Indiana University, not Indiana Wesleyan University, IU, came to me, and I had colleagues from there. That's where my master's came from. They called me and said, "There's a TIPSIT grant." And a TIPSIT grant is just a transition and post-secondary program for students with intellectual disabilities. And the federal government was providing TIPSIT grants throughout the states to try to encourage people to think outside of the box and to look at post-secondary opportunities differently. And they asked me, would that be something I was interested in? Well, yeah, the light bulb immediately went off. That dream about college came right back to me. And at this point now, I'm a director. I had been a transition coordinator, I had been a coordinator, and now I'm a director in one district. And I immediately went to the superintendent and said, please let me try this. And thankfully that he did. Um, and a few years later, I became the Grant County Co-op director, which meant all 5 districts were going to be able to do this, and all 5 superintendents were always on board. They've been nothing but supportive. So within a few years, 5 different districts, students 18 to 22 years old, through this TIPSIT grant, started us out. That's how we got the funding for a teacher. I call it a community liaison. Other people might call it a paraprofessional. I like community liaison, and 5 students that first year. I was telling Felisa and Sam before we started, today was our potential student tour day. And so all the families of seniors that are graduating from the 5 districts that I'm from came to campus today, and we gave them a tour. The IWU admission office gave the tour. They got a free t-shirt, just like every freshman that came to campus. They got a free meal ticket. They did the tour. We did our spiel. They filled out an application. We handed them the handbook. Like it was a college visit day, and the room was packed today. I bet you there were 15 to 20 students potentially that are coming to our program next year. We have 3 exiting that are graduating this year, so there's a potential that we may need to add a staff member. But anyway, I get excited. But it started through that TIPSIT grant. That was the very first additional funding that we had. And somebody approached me. I didn't even go look for that money. They approached me. And so we had that money for 3 years, and it decreased every year. And the goal, of course, was a sustainability plan, which we had to put into place and did, and it worked. So that was the very first thing. I had the money, but I didn't have anybody that said we could do it. So the next thing that happened was us going to IWU and talking to the right people. And let me tell you, I did not talk to the right people the first 2 or 3 times. They were very academic. They were think you're scholarly college professor that stands at the front and is, going through an hour's worth of seminar kind of lecturing. They did not understand. They did not really want to understand what I was talking about. And then it happened. Somebody from the TIPSIT grant graduated from IWU. She went with me. She knew a particular professor that worked in disability services, connected us, and boom, that was it. The right connection, the right 2 people in the same room talking about the same thing and understanding the same. You know how we are with acronyms. He knew my acronyms, I knew his. He had been in public education, and that's how it began. That next year we had 7, I believe, on campus. Fast forward to last year, we celebrated our 10th anniversary with the Impact program. And we've had hundreds of students go through since then. And so all from that TIPSIT grant that somebody came to me and offered money. But that money doesn't last, and dreams continue to happen. Like I was not done dreaming. I had lots of things still in my head that we wanted to do. So, that we wanted to accomplish. So we wrote our policies, we accepted our students. We even had to rewrite those IEPs because they were in a different community, they were in a different climate. So all of those things had to happen. And it was a process, and it took some time, but it's been so worth it. Here's the slide I was talking about earlier. I would love for you, if you have not heard of Think College, please go to this website when you have time. Check it out. If you are a transition coordinator and you have not heard of it yet, I promise you, as soon as you go there, you're going to think you hit the jackpot. So I've just given you 2 screenshots. One I think is so imperative because I brag about us all the time by saying we're one of 4 programs in Indiana and one of 300 nationally. So if you look at that on the right of the United States map, each one of those states, the number in it represents the number of programs in your state. And if you are one of them, maybe you're one of those people. I hope you are. I hope you identify yourself if you are. But if you're not, you can click on any of those states and it will pull up about each one of those programs, who the contact is, what university it is, a website or a social media platform that that place uses, and a little bit about um, how that program runs. I am a dual programs, meaning we fund it with Part B dollars still. We have not been accredited through the university, but many of those 300 are accredited, and the university offers financial aid to the students. They live on campus. I wish I could tell you today that I had accomplished that. I'm still dreaming, and that is a dream. My next dream before I decide I want to go and live in Tampa with Felisa on the beach is that I want my kids to have a residential opportunity. My kids, it's a day college program right now for us, and I so want them to have an opportunity to live and understand what dorm life is and be away from their family and that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent, sorry. But go to Think College, please. If you haven't explored it already, you're going to find a litany of information that will be meaningful to you and the families that you serve. So it sounds like we've got a lot going on, and we did, but I wasn't done dreaming. I said that. So as we had more people, we shared our vision, and we told more people, and we had people in the community that were hearing about it. More students began to come. So what a teacher and a paraprofessional or a community liaison was doing with 6 to 10 kids is now 12 to 15. And when that happened, that 15, that number 15 mark really was kind of our, um, I guess, our red light to say, we're not providing enough services now. We're not able to help and support each of these students. We've got to have an additional teammate. And what is it that we want? Again, what's your ask? What do we want from an additional person? What do we want them to accomplish? And so we identified that it was truly getting somebody that could drive a van or a bus and go out in the community, take kids to the license branch to get their learner's permit, or maybe eventually their driver's license, to go to different field trips of businesses in the community where somebody might have indicated, this is what I would like to do. So going to do a job shadowing or dropping off resumes. We needed that person because we had our teacher who's working on their IEPs. We had our community liaison who was doing things on campus with our students. So this was the next step. So that's when I first started thinking about, I've got to write more grants. Like, I do not have this in my budget. We have to have this for this to continue to grow. So what are we going to do? We also needed our own technology. It became very old, borrowing iPads or asking the tech people, can you give us some old laptops? Well, first of all, why would we want old laptops? Our kids deserve to have new, just like everybody else. So we've got to fund that, right? We've got to find a way to fund that. And then there were still areas of employment that I was looking at. In the middle of all of this, that dreaded C word happened in 2020. The COVID came and stopped all of us in our tracks, including this program. And what our teacher was trying to teach them virtually, it was almost just like the rest of us. We couldn't do it. So as COVID was going on, that's when I took advantage of starting to think about writing grants and what would I ask and who would I reach out to. And one of my dreams for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years at least, has been a food truck. And I know we talk about food, filth, and flowers all the time, right? Those are the things that we want our kids. But a food truck is more than just about food. It's about social skills. It's about functional literacy and math and self-esteem and learning that hard work equals paid employment. And it's also about learning how to stir and measure and get messy and not have a meltdown about it, all of those things. But to me, the food truck was a means to teaching so many things. So I'm dreaming during COVID. And one day when we were able to come back to school, I just happened to be walking down the hall with the superintendent of where my office was. And I think she asked me something like, what are you working on these days, or what anything new going on?" And I told her about my dream, and she stopped in her tracks and said, "I've been thinking about that too, only for this reason." And from, again, that light bulb, that connection that I didn't even know, I'm just sharing my dream, we started dreaming together and planning and implementing. And the money that we didn't spend during COVID on electricity and paper and all the things that, we didn't need because we weren't in school, we reallocated those dollars, and they gave some. I wrote a grant and was successful. The foundation gave it to us, and we bought a brand new food truck. In fact, when we designed it was we couldn't even go. We had to do it all virtually. And the guy said to me, "I've got 5 people behind you. If you want this truck, you need to put some money down right now." And we put 50,000 down right then. It doesn't have automatic locks, and it doesn't have automatic windows because that's all that was available. But we took it because we knew it'd be forever um, during this time of COVID that we would be able to get it. And we knew that we needed to. The dream was coming to fruition, and we needed to jump on it. So we started with the food truck about 4 years ago. After we got it and we had to plan for it and all of the things, we've been running the food truck for, we do it in the fall and in the spring. If you know anything about a food truck, unless you have a place to put it, pipes freeze and water doesn't run and all those things. So it sets in a school barn during the winter. But we try to have 6 to 8 jobs in the fall and 6 to 8 jobs in the spring. And those are all teachable moments. We charge. Our menu is smoked meats, barbecue, and I say world famous mac and cheese. But we get jobs from local businesses and organizations, and we take that food truck out all over the place, and our kids get these opportunities, and then they get paid for it, and they understand then the correlation between hard work and money in my pocket. And that's a powerful, powerful lesson, when you put 30 bucks in a kid's pocket that he didn't have 3 hours ago, and it's because he worked hard or she worked hard. So that was one of the things that we were dreaming about. And then just recently, we had been dreaming about a greenhouse. And there is a department in IWU that's called plant biology. They're way smarter than me. They do all the things about how this plant grows and how you can multiply it with something else and it becomes a new hybrid. That wasn't important to me. However, that professor and her students coming to teach our kids, our students, and having a collaborative lesson between these college students. All of them are college students, but with and without disabilities, and partnering and learning together brought on a whole new opportunity. So I wrote another grant, and this time it included a greenhouse. And so actually the greenhouse is behind me. I don't know if you can see that. Um, this was the first time we introduced the greenhouse to our other directors, and some of our students are in that picture. But we truly are just now learning to use it. This is our first spring. And here's a funny story. It's funny, not funny. We bought $500 worth of tulips, and our goal was to sell them starting in April. And we got ready to leave for spring break, and somebody went out and noticed a few squirrels. And you can only imagine, they were having a extravaganza of salad made out of tulip bulbs. And so they destroyed many, many of our tulip bulbs. And so I'm guessing that we're not going to have as many tulips to sell as we once thought, but that's a lesson too, isn't it? Okay, what do you do when this happens? So, um, anyway, we're just trying to laugh and not cry about it. But our kids are so excited. They planted those tulip bulbs. They see it coming up. The green stems are coming up. We don't have flowers yet. Indiana's still cold. We actually had hail this morning. But it's exciting to see the kids or the young adults, sorry, uh, understand. And when we did the lesson on gardening through Educational Associates, they understand that it takes water, soil, and air, and that you have to watch it and you have to pick it at the certain time, and that it's going to bud and it's going to become something beautiful, and then it's going to die and go away. All of those things were taught before we ever put the first tulip in the ground. So that was exciting too. I see that there are questions. Do we want to wait for the questions, Felisa, or do you want me to stop and answer some? How do we want
No,
to do
you
that?
go ahead and keep going, and we'll just
Keep
stop at
going?
the
All
end.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. That's my ADHD. I'm seeing things.
I know, I
Yeah.
know, I saw it.
All right. I love to say this. Show me the money and tell me where it's going to come from. I talked earlier about realigning those Part B dollars. You know, 18 to 22-year-olds on a college campus are not in your local high school. So, is there a way to look at the funding that you have and realign that so that that's going towards, maybe it's new computers every 3 years, or maybe it's to pay for the transportation to get the students from their local community into the university where that's at. For some in my community, that's 20 minutes. For others, it's 5. So what do you need the money for and where is it going to come from? The other thing that I would say to you is dream big about creating jobs. I talked earlier about being a sustainable program. So we had that Tips It grant to start with, but after that grant, it was up to us to continue to do that. So one of the ways that we did that was to think about how can we raise money? And how can we not do it like a fundraiser, like just give us money? We didn't want that. We wanted our kids to work for it. So we started a few um, campus jobs that helped bring money in. And one of those was monthly craft sales at the student center. And our students, they were learning to cook and bake, so then they were selling their baked goods, or they were making crafts and selling those. Then we bought a Cricut, or whatever you call it in your world, but that shirt design machine became a magical um, storefront for us. So our kids, if you go to our Facebook page, you will see that right now we're selling Easter autism awareness and dog lover shirt designs. And so our kids, again, are learning skills that they could incorporate into a job that they could go to after college and work at a screen print shop, or someplace where they sell apparel, that kind of thing. So we're giving them skills to pay the bills. And then of course the food truck and the greenhouse. And then the last thing that I would say about that is the grant writing. And again, I told you, I'm not that big. Google this big grant from some other state. That's just not me. But maybe it's you. Maybe that's where your dollars come from. Mine came from 2 local foundations. Um, After I wrote a grant, actually after COVID, when there was the additional funding left, I wrote a grant, and it was a 3-year grant that they gave us money so that we could plug it into this program. But I went to 2 local foundations, the Boren Foundation and AWS Foundation. And both of them, I cannot say enough nice things, the respect that I have for them as organizations. They listened intently, they gave generously, and they still support us. We feed the Boren Foundation every fall. We go to they have by every semi-annual, sorry, a semi-annual meeting where they are talking about who to give money to next. And in the fall, we go and our kids serve them during their meeting. And then the AWS Foundation out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, is the most recent grant that is supporting. They're the ones that helped us get the greenhouse and some of the other things that the initiatives, and they helped us pay for that employability coach so that we could add staff. So both of those foundations have been fantastic for us in the Making an Impact program here in Indiana. I wanted to show you as Sam and Felisa and I were talking, some of the questions were like, the audience is going to want to know, like, what exactly, how do you decide what you do or what you write? So I just decided I was going to screenshot um, one of the grant portals that I've done and used in the past. And so this, you'll have access to this later, but this is an online portal. I was asking for $25,000 for this, and this is an extension of our greenhouse. So I think it says, I'm sorry, you can't see it, growing flowers and independence, one garden at a time. So we have the garden or the greenhouse, but now I'm looking for battery operated tools instead of gas, very dangerous kinds of things, or kids that don't have the dexterity to pull I don't even know the term, the throttle or whatever it's called, to get the machine to work or the tool to work. They now have those in battery powered um, machines and tools. And so I'm looking at using those, like a tiller, a seeder, those kinds of things so that our kids can do them independently, use them to produce their flower garden. I'm also asking for a UTV. So we have students with mobility issues, and they're on one side of the campus, but this garden area that they call the Alliance Gardens is where our greenhouse is. It's a very long distance. And so we know that some of our kids can't make it over there without help. So if this works, we will have either a souped up golf cart or a UTV that we can transport our kids from one side of the campus to the other, but also our tools and all the things that we need to teach these skills. So in some of these slides, you'll see there was a category. Because this is a screenshot, I can't show you what all the drop downs are, but obviously mine is the area of education and employment. And I was not asking for it says it's a program, it's for a program. The other thing was, is it like a building project? Was I asking for, to actually build something? And that wasn't the case at all. We have what we need in that department. We just need the tools to go with it to support our program. So on the next page, here's just an example. And again, you'll have this in the PowerPoint to look at later, but this is just my dialogue of explaining what it is that I'm asking for, summarizing the progress of what we've already started. And then what is my ask? What do I want? And what are my data points? What kind of evidence-based information can I provide them to show that we're doing what we said that we would do with the money that you gave us, and we would like for you to trust us again? And if you notice at the bottom, it says 592 characters out of 2,500. If you've never written a grant before, that's one of the hardest things for me. You start out real wordy. You start out here and you have to funnel it to here. So what is the most important thing that you need to say in that box to get them to dream and see the vision like you? I think I have one more. What are they going to ask me? What are they going to want you to provide for them? So you'll see the expected measurable outcomes. And so I am saying to them, my first one says students will be equipped for a variety of interactions with local businesses that are hiring employees with a strong work ethic and a skill set in the area of horticulture. Sorry. So that's just one goal that I have. And I am saying to that foundation, we are going to ensure with these dollars that you provide for us, that these are the skills that our students are going to get. So again, you only have so many characters to use, so make sure you're using those wisely. And these are our kids. I love this slide. I love the people in this slide. It shows a variety of things that our kids do. Everything from Antoine in my eye, who just got a paid job on campus and is, you know, getting a paycheck every other week, and he's about to graduate from our program. The M is our banquet. It's students at the banquet. RP is Charles, and he's cooking something. He's prepping food of some kind. RA is Peyton, who is actually using an Education Associates kit, and he's using a drill and has learned to use that drill to screw things into wood, and he knows that that makes something productive that he can use later. RC is Olivia. Olivia and another student of ours, we had a wedding last year. They got married. I will say, don't fret. It was the very last day of school, 1 minute after school was out, not on school time. They had a wedding. They were married, and Olivia came back this year as a married woman, and she's about to celebrate her 1 year anniversary of marriage. And my T is Ethan, and he's got his Making an Impact food truck uniform on, and he's just taken a little break right there by leaning onto the food truck. So I'm going to show you, I believe, next. This is our logo from the Grant County Special Ed Cooperative. And in that logo, I have put a quick slideshow just to show you. It is very fast. You're going to say, wow, that's so fast. I didn't even see it. But I didn't want to bore you with it, but I want you to see, think about all the things I've talked about. Our kids are doing vocational things. They're doing exploratory things in the community, recreation and leisure, and and a wedding. So you're going to see that next. That picture is the fence that we put up to keep our bulb-eating squirrels out of it, but it did not work. But the boys were so proud of themselves because they helped another staff member get that fence up in hopes that it would help. I'm almost finished. I want to close with this. There are things that are important, and these are 3 game-changing resources for us. My 3 game changers are going to be different than yours, but this will help you get to thinking. What curriculum are you using? What can you use to teach these skills without reinventing the wheel? For us, it's Education Associates and all of the different things that they offer. Who are your community partners? You may not be on a college campus. That doesn't mean you can't do innovative things with your 18 to 22 population. Maybe you have a community site that you can go to. Our community partner for sure is Indiana Wesleyan University. They allow us to be on campus with all of the other students free of charge. Our students do not pay anything. They have a regular school ID card. They have access to every extracurricular activity, just like every other student there. They are a fantastic community partner for us. And third, how are you going to get it done? What's your outside funding? Maybe you have a very generous person in your community, or maybe you're going to write a grant. But who is it? Where is it? How are you going to access it so that you can advance your program to do something bigger and better for your students? So I say to you, find your resources in your area, in your neck of the woods, and start dreaming and envisioning what that can look like. And I'm going to end on this, and Felicia has to take over the reins. So look, I'm hands off, Felicia. This is Ethan. Ethan, before she shows this video, Ethan is in the music therapy class. So on campus, we have students that are being trained as music therapists, And Ethan took the class, and this is his end of semester performance that he worked on through the whole semester. And this was his performance. This was last year. I want you to know when he came on campus, I thought he might make it a week. I thought to myself, there is no way he doesn't talk often. I don't know that he can use his phone to save himself as if he was in a, but people were determined that he wanted to be in this program and I was going to try. But I literally thought we're going to have a case conference and he's not going to make it. After you see this, you're going to be like, why did you doubt him?
I think that video is so awesome. Every time I hear the music, I'm always like, eh. And I think it's amazing that in the beginning you thought that it's not gonna work. He's not gonna stick here. Yeah, I think you said they couldn't hardly get him out of the car. They couldn't hardly get him to interact. And now look, he's on the stage in front of all of these people, and you wouldn't even know he's the same kid. You'd have no idea that he had those troubles to begin with. So I think that is amazing. And I think the work that you're doing is absolutely fantastic, Lisa. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
So Sam and I, we had some really fantastic questions. We know we're running a little bit over, but we wanted to really take some time and address those questions while we've got Lisa with us. So Sam was monitoring the chat. So you got them together, Sam?
I do. So the first question is, can students earn a degree through the Making an Impact program? Linda says, I'm in NYS. I know of 3 programs near me where students can get college experience, but they can't get a degree. So she's curious, can students get a degree through the Making an Impact program?
We call it certification, not degree. It is not a college degree. And actually, through Education Associates, there's after they finish different, help me find the terminology I'm looking for.
Kits.
One of
Yeah.
your kits,
Kits.
if after they do the post test and they have
Mhm.
successfully completed that and show that they have those skills, there's a
Mhm.
certification that prints right out. So as they're building their resume, that digital badge can be right on their resume
Mhm.
for other employers to see.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
no degree though.
A good question, though, Linda. The next one is, where are these grants available at? This asker Jessica is in Louisiana, but I think you kind of said, Lisa, that you just kind of looked at your local community, right? You just kind of looked at, okay, who who's local that has money that maybe I can have some of, or different businesses. Any other places that you kind of would go to first before going to like a national search engine for grants?
Right. No, to me, it made more sense. I know my community very well. I've lived here my whole life, and that was my sweet spot. Um, but that doesn't mean that you can't go out and start Googling right away, and a litany of things will come up.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yep. And then one question, I was curious about this too. What is Part B? You mentioned Part B
Oh,
dollars.
okay. Part B dollars are what IDEA, so the Federal Department of Education, gives us federal dollars every year to educate students, and it's called the Part B grant. So
Mhm.
as a director, I'm in charge of the budget for the services and the personnel and the resources that we use to educate our students. And my main source of funding is the Part B grant. the
And can
federal
anybody apply? I mean, you don't have to be, you need to be special ed to apply for the Part B.
Part B
And
is
can you
special ed.
just be a teacher and apply for the
No.
grant?
No. So your local school district applies for that. So somebody like your special ed director or maybe an assistant superintendent or superintendent or your business manager are the ones that apply for those. And then those dollars are allocated to the district.
Mhm.
So a teacher could not write a grant for Part B at least.
Okay, okay.
But it's important if you are a teacher on this call,
Mhm,
maybe if your director does not know about Part B,
mhm,
you could definitely let them know.
mhm. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much it as far as questions are concerned. And I know, Lisa, you put your contact information here. So if anyone has any specific questions for you, they can reach out to you
Mhm,
via email.
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
And join our Facebook page. We're
Mhm.
trying to build that
Right, right.
every day they post something that they're doing.
It's good.
And it's great.
It's
It's
a,
just a great thing to see on social media.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so I think Sam mentioned this early that you will get a recording of this Friday and also the PowerPoint slides. So I'm going to touch on a couple of resources that we offer you at Education Associates. And you can also get this in the slides in case I'm going super quick because I do want to respect your time. Excuse me, we do have our site at educationassociates.com. We have lots and lots of resources on this site to be able to help you find those grants, to be able to help you find that money so that you can fund this because, you know, the dream starts here, but you got to have a little of this to get that dream to go forward. And we know, especially given our current economy and the way things are kind of going, it just makes you a little nervous. But, reach out. There's money out there. Lots of times there's money that we don't even know about that's out there. And our really good superintendents, our really good district folks, they know where that money is. And all you just need to do is ask. That's a big part about getting it. We do have our preview packet. So if you're interested in any of the things that Lisa's talked about, our kits, any of the things that I showed you earlier, we do have interactive packets. We do have curriculum samples out there. We have all kinds of things available to you. And you can always reach out to us. We have like a little chat feature on our website, and you can always reach out. And I guarantee you that someone will respond back to you. It's not just a bot thing. I mean, a bot might start it, but a bot doesn't finish it. So you have all kinds of ways that you can contact us. This is a good place where we keep all of the things that Education Associates keeps their ear to the ground. We don't just deal with the kits and that's it. We have all kinds of other things that we know are out there that are good resources for teachers. We're constantly talking to our teachers. As me as the curriculum coordinator, I'm constantly in touch with districts. I want to know how our kids are going. I want to know if there's some things that we can do, we can change, and how we can make our kids always better. And so this is a good place to go to get some tips, to get some ideas, and just be in the know of how Education Associates is making a powerful impact. And you saw from Lisa's presentation, we really make an impact where we go. Another way that you can connect with us and find out some solutions, find out where that funding is, find out how you can get that golf cart. When you said $25,000 for a golf cart, down here in Florida, golf carts are really big.
They
People
are.
get around in those. You see them on the street. There are
Yep.
actually signs that say golf carts here, so you need to watch for them. And I thought for $25,000, I could get a really nice golf cart, but I think that's a great idea. I love a good golf cart. And then here's our resources page. Again, lots of things on there that you can use that we want to help you. Everything that we do here in Education Associates is geared towards education, geared towards helping teachers, geared towards helping educators to be able to get those funds and give kids every opportunity to be successful. This is also where you'll find our webinar Wednesdays. If there are, we put them on this as we go. So if one of your friends is like, man, that was a great webinar Wednesday and you didn't get registered, you can come here and those videos are housed here. Again, more of our webinar Wednesday. Here's where we find the funds. We have a place now. Like Lisa said, these are our national sites. These are, you know, the big sites where it lists everything, and sometimes it can be really hard to weed through it. But, you know, reach out to us at the company, and lots of our people are aware of what's going on in particular states, what's good, what's not good, so we can really help you to be able to weed through that process. We're here for you to support you in that need if you have it. We have lots of ways that you can reach out. Lisa gave a really good look at writing grants because it's true. You have huge and they force you to funnel down and get really specific, which is good for me who's a chatterer and a talker. I can give you all kinds of stuff, but this really helps you to be able to funnel down and really pinpoint what it is you need and what you're looking for. And that's it. So we are super happy for you sticking with us. We ran long. This is Sam and I's first time at kind of really staying in those time parameters. And so we appreciate you sticking with us through to the end. Lisa, I can't tell you enough how thankful we are that you gave some time for us today and really shared this. It was so impactful that you were able to do this, and I know it's great information. You have my contact down there at the bottom. You have Sam's contact, and that's also where your webinar, all your information follow-up will come through. Don't forget, somebody said, can we put the Facebook QR code back up there? I certainly will.
Put the link in
And
the
if
chat.
you are ready, if you need to drop off, we completely understand that. We appreciate your time. There it
It's
is.
up. Go.
Appreciate your time today, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you all for sticking with us. Right.
I'm gonna hang here just a little bit so they can get that QR code.
And then I did put the link for the group in the chat as well. So they
Okay.
also to
Awesome. Thanks for doing that.
that.
Okay. I think we're all good here, ladies.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Great.
Well,
Yeah, thanks.
bye.
Are we debriefing or are we?
Nope. Don't forget to send me let me stop this recording, to send me your